Hello fellow crafters, this is Julia from JustOneMoreCard.com, and today I want to show you how to use some of your tiny stamps to create shapes. I'm going to use this rather large stamp. This is a Hero Arts background stamp, but these are the tiny stamps that I was talking about, the Very Vintage Flowers by W+9. It's an older stamp set, and I especially love this trio of flowers. And I'm also going to use the coordinating die cut, but you don't really need it for this card. I'm also going to be using the bigger one of the Sunshine Layers dies. This is a beautiful scallop frame that gives some stitching on the inside as well. And these are the three stamps that I'm going to be using, or dies, and these are the three inks, the Hero Arts Grape Juice, Raspberry Jam, and Soft Blossom, because I want to create kind of an ombre effect for an Easter card. I've started out by die cutting two shapes with the frame. The front one is Neenah Solar White cardstock, the second one is just some cheaper white cardstock, and I'm using my ATG gun to glue them together so this is more sturdy. And this is because I want to tie a bow around this later. And for that I need it to be a little sturdier than the Neenah would be normally. I've also die cut the floral shape twice just in case I mess up, so I don't have to die cut it again. And fortunately enough, with my first attempt, it already worked out fine, and I just love this one single stamp. It's just so beautiful. It's so intricate. Here I've actually created a template. I stamped out the flowers so I would know which position they needed to be in to create a balanced egg shape. Balanced in terms of, like smaller flowers on the top, bigger, heavier flowers to the bottom. And here I'm laying it out on my front panel so I will know where this egg needs to go and to have space for the ribbon later on as well and for the sentiment. And then I'm simply starting out stamping the images. Now I want to create a gradient, and for that I don't want each stamp to be a solid color. I want the recipient to see the gradient. So I'm dipping one stamp into two stamp colors. Don't worry, this will not hurt your ink pads at all. Like seriously, this will not hurt them in the slightest. All I'm basically doing is dipping one part of the stamp into the darker color and one part into the lighter color, and then you get this gradient so you can slowly build up to the lighter colors. And I'm repeating this with a bigger one, with a bigger flower as well. Just the same principle, dip it lightly into the darker ink and then into the lighter ink. I usually start with the darker ink so I can smooth out the edge with the lighter ink. And I'm just trying to figure out where to place it so I can build up my egg shape properly. And I'm still working off the template that you saw me use in the first place. I've also created a few masks really easily. I just stamped them on the sticky part of a post-it note and fuzzy cut them. And you can see here I'm using them to mask off some of the flowers that I've already stamped. Sorry for the camera shaking there. And now I'm thanks to the mask, I can basically create little bunches of flowers, little groups of flowers. And I also love this, wine or leafy kind of stamp because it allows me to outline the shape of the egg in a very subtle way. So you don't really see that I'm using it for that purpose. And here I want to show you that you can also use very tiny stamps with this rock and roll technique where I dip it into two separate ink colors. I've already stamped it out twice, and here I'm stamping it out a third time. Just in case you're wondering, of course you could also mask off this image, but I really wanted for it to feel more natural than having cut off edges due to masks. And after I stamped it out, I realized it still looked a little bit empty, so I'm grabbing the Winnie and Walter Big Bang Confetti stamp set. It has a solid circle in it, and I'm just using the circle to fill in some of the empty areas, and it gives it a very natural, more filled look. I'm setting this aside to dry now, and I'm grabbing my pink card base and also my Hero Arts wood grain stamp. Before I started, I smooshed some ink colors onto a scrap piece of this pink cardstock to figure out how the ink would look once it has dried, which one would be very light, which one would be too dark maybe. And right now I feel like going with the same ink that I used as the lightest one on my egg shape, on my flowers on the egg. And this will smooth out eventually. So the wood grain pattern will even look a little bit lighter later on. Once this is dried, I can go in with my eraser and just take away some of the the pencil lines, or take away all of the pencil lines, because I don't want anybody to know I used, you know, a guide. You know, I'm just awesome that way. You know, I can just make the perfect egg shape just like that. I wish. Here I'm creating a bow the way that Christina Werner showed in one of her videos. I have a link to her video in the video description below. And basically, when you create a bow this way, like slightly backwards way, it's not twisted. Like the loops are horizontal and they are not vertical, which means it's much easier to create a good bow. Mine doesn't look perfect, but hey, practice makes perfect, right? And this is only the second time I've actually tried this. So I was kind of happy that at least the loops of the bow were horizontal and not completely all over the place somewhere. So the knot looks kind of messy, but hey, it's a nice ribbon that makes up for it, right? Here I'm using the die cut that I stamped at the very beginning of the video. You could completely leave this out. I just wanted to have this element as a 3D element. And of course the sentiment was an afterthought. I was like, hey, I need a sentiment. Yeah, well. And of course I had to add some sequins. I'm using the metallic gold by Pretty Pink Posh, and then some multi-medium matte to adhere the sequins. And this glue is really awesome because when it dries matte, which means you don't see it. Even if it squishes out to the side, you don't see it. Which is perfect because I usually make a mess. Because, you know, I'm just a messy crafter. But of course the gold sequins just look absolutely amazing. Here's a close-up of the stamping of the gradient that I've created, going from the very dark purple to the very light rose color, and the 3D element that I have there. And this is the finished card for today. I hope this gives you some inspiration. I hope it inspires you to get started on your Easter projects. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please leave me a thumbs up or subscribe. Thank you for watching and see you again soon. Bye!